They say a record number of adults are still living with their parents. Still living with their parents. Remember, that used to just be the worst thing in the world. You're just a grown-ass man, grown-ass lady still living at home with moms and pops. But right now, a third of young adults are still living with their parents. Let's go ahead, jump right into it.
It's new normal. A new study by Realtor.com reveals that a third of young people are still living with their parents. These are not strictly college students looking to save money on room and board. We're talking about a record 25 million people under 35, higher than at any time in history. Now that
Ooh, this thing says 20.4. Can y'all see that? 20.4. Let me see if I can get that. 20.4%. Ages 25 to 29 still living at that. Ages 30 to 34, 12%. Oh my gosh, bro. 30 to 34, 12%. You're trying to tell me almost 13 out of 100 adults still stay at home with moms and pops from the ages of 30 and 34. Adult kids living with parents hits records. Why do they have to do them like that? Let's go ahead and keep watching.
Includes more than 20% of 25 to 29-year-olds and more than 10% of 30 to 34-year-olds. These young people aren't just sitting around at home. About 70% of them are employed. But a lot of them say that they haven't left the nest because they can't afford one of their own. The median home price last year hit $430,000, up more than 34% before the pandemic. The median monthly rent has climbed nearly 18%, but not all of them are getting a free ride. Almost 3/4 of adult children living at home help pay for groceries or utilities, and nearly half say they help pay rent or the mortgage. Well, living at home as a young
man. Hold on, let's talk about it. You're living at home and all you're doing is paying for groceries and some utilities. That's easy. That was easy. Now, people in the comments were like, man, I'm glad I'm not the only one. There's probably a lot more people, I think, that are living at home than what this consensus even knows about. Just throwing it out there. Why? Because shit ain't what's up right now. It's expensive as hell. You can't even afford to pay rent. Not only that, you have to qualify for an apartment or something like that by bringing in almost 3 times your monthly income. Like, that makes qualification even harder. You just need a roommate and all kind of stuff, man.
You've got starter home costs averaging on $1 million in some communities. This is no surprise. I'm Ebony, and I read another news story in case you missed it. Let's get into the highlights of this, okay? A new report found that a record number of 25.2 million Americans under 35 are living at home. That's about 1 in 3 young adults. Whoa. And here's the part that surprised me. About 70% of them have jobs, and many have college degrees. The real issue right now, housing cost. The typical home price is now around $430,000, which is more than a third higher than before the pandemic. Rents have also climbed dramatically, making it harder to afford living independently. Not to mention, rent used to be like when you got an apartment, you might have to pay like your first month's rent or your last month's rent or something. Now it's just so much going in with like security deposits. Like I saw someone post, it's just crazy. Anyways, not to digress, okay? The result though of all of this is people are delaying major milestones like buying a home, getting married, starting families, building wealth. And honestly, this article reflects something a lot of people are feeling right now. People aren't failing at adulthood. The cost of adulthood is out of control, okay? Really, it's just out of control. So, question for you all. Do you think living with your parents in your 20s and 30s should still carry a stigma, or is this just the new normal? I say it's the new normal. I mean, we're all trying to survive here, no matter where you're at, okay?
She said, do you think it's the new normal? Do you think this is the new normal? It's no different. Is it no different from going to get you a regular roommate from somewhere or not? Like, tell me what you guys think. That's a great question. We're going to have you answer that in the comments.
I'm 27 years old. I'm married. I have 3 kids, and I live in my parents' house. I can't think of anything more pathetic than living in my parents' house at the age of 27 with 3 kids and a wife, other than the fact that we're also $60,000 in debt. So this account, I am making a goal to being broke as you can be in 2026 to millionaire in 2028 when I'm age 30. By then, I want my own house, I want to be debt free, and I want to have sold a successful business. This account's gonna be raw. It's gonna show the high moments, the low moments, the in-between moments, what I'm working on, how I'm working on things, and what I'm doing to actively achieve the goal of becoming a millionaire by 30.
Wow, man. Yeah, life is tough. He's trying to be optimistic about everything, man. And to be honest, good luck to you, man. The comment section is definitely not his friend right now. Step 1, vasectomy. Please, brother. Second comment, I'm being so serious. Go enlist right now. Comment, your wife is such a strong woman for this, for real. Wow. Another person, setting a realistic goal would be a good starting point. Oh, wow. 3 kids by 27 years is quite something. Crying face, crying face. Nothing wrong with living in your parents' house. They are your parents. But the 3 kids parts. Woof. We need to normalize making voluntary life-altering decisions after the age of 25. Guys, the other clip said young adults, right? What do you consider a young adult? What age is the cutoff? You're not considered a young adult. You're not considered a kid pretty much at this. What do you say? You know, what is the cutoff? Is it 21? To me, it was 21. Like, that's when you get your life. That's when you get to buy alcohol. You know, all this other stuff. All right. You were supposed to be an adult by 21. You're supposed to be experimenting on getting out the house or going to college from 18 to 21 to 22, doing your thing and then starting life after that. But you really were treated like an adult at 21. Now, is that number higher than 21? Is it 25? Is it 30 now? Y'all let me know what age is the cutoff from adult from young adults, quote unquote young adult, to grown ass person. Get out your mama's house. All right, let me know in the comments below.
A record number, 25 million young people are living at home with their parents, and a lot of people are giving them backlash for this, but I disagree with it because the economy is so harsh right now. Honestly, if you have to live at home with your parents for an extended amount of time, you should not feel bad for it, because let's be real, you should be thankful your parents even have a home for you to live there with them in this type of economy. So if it takes a little bit longer for you to develop yourself and feel comfortable building up your pathway to sustainable housing, make sure you don't feel pressured by the invisible crowd, because most of the time people that are judging you are just really judging their own character.
I mean, look, man, if you're at home and you're a grown person and you're not working, by all means, what is going on? Now, if you're a working adult, 40 hours, hustling, bustling, setting yourself up for the goal. Like, I know someone personally that actually stayed at home with their parents to the age of 32. He always worked, though. He was always at work 40, 50 hours a week to save up. And when he saved up for his house, he put a large amount down for his own house. And yeah, I mean, I guess it was something that he was working. I guess in his mind, he had a number goal. His parents were cool with it. He helped out around the house, and he did have a college degree. But honestly, he was just like, look, I need to make a big enough deposit to where, you know, my monthly mortgage note isn't, you know, $2,000. So he had a goal in mind to where, you know, he wanted to buy a house in a certain area with a certain amount down, so he didn't have to pay. I think his goal was not more than $1,100 a month. And so that's what he did. You know, I couldn't blame him. But like, if you're at home not working, not doing anything to better yourself, and you just leeching, like, we know the difference, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm 32 and I've lived with my parents for the last 9 years after I graduated school and then came back home. The intention was never to live with them that long. I thought maybe it would be like a year or two and then I would get my own place, but life didn't work out the way I thought it would, and that's fine. I spent a lot of that time feeling very frustrated, angry, embarrassed, and had a lot of shame around the fact that I was still living at home. I was single, still single. And I just really wasn't following the same steps as anyone else that I knew that was my age, or like my friends at the time or anything like that. So I felt very behind. I'm now like maybe a week out from being fully moved out. And
well, that's good. You know, it took you 9 years, but good for you. I guess you took your time with this one and you're still single. And I guess there's some things that you had to process in the meantime. But I think, you know, you didn't mention you had siblings, and I just wanted to take that thought and we're kind of like expound on that thought. Like, say if you just had that one kid that stayed at home all the time, it might be a little easy for the parents, right? Like, hey, you know, we just got this one person in here, blah, 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 right? They can take care of themselves. They're still in their old childhood room. You know, a little extra groceries probably wouldn't hurt them. I mean, until we made it to 2026. But what if it's more than one child? How difficult that would be if they're not really helping out.
Bro, if you still live with your parents and you're in your 20s, bro, just hang up the gloves, bro. It's over for you. You're cooked and you got no bitches, bro. It's what I would say if I was a complete dumbass. Like, bro, who even created this propaganda saying that you gotta move out of your parents' house as fast as possible? Like, you get no extra points if you rent out your apartment, if you rent out your house, because you're just throwing money away. Even if you buy a house, you have an asset, but if you can't make your payments, if you lose your job, then you just lose that asset. Like, if you live with your parents right now, just try to stay with them as long as possible. Save up as much as possible and invest as much as possible, because right now you can. If you don't pay rent, you have a golden opportunity. But if you do pay rent, it still applies to you because you're giving your parents money. Either your father, your mother, whoever, you're helping them out. So try to stay with your parents as long as possible, and don't look at all these people on social media saying that you gotta move out as fast as possible just because they want to seem like they're winning, but in reality, they're the brokest people out there.
I just want to say, man, look, at the end of the day, the taboo or the goal of moving out, you do want to move out, man. Who doesn't want to go live on their own and be an adult, start a family? All right, you're always gonna run into those other things, especially if you're a male. If you're trying to bring a female over and do these things, man, you think that's gonna be cool to the female? The female is probably gonna be like, yo, your mom's like one wall away, those sort of things. So you do have, like, unless relationships aren't really your thing at the time, like focusing on yourself, saving up money, your career, those sort of things. Yeah, I get it, but like I said, I had set a goal to get out when I was 18. That was my goal. I wanted to go and do my thing when I was 18. I had some roommates. Hey, look, we enjoyed having roommates, bro. It helps with the bills, man. And yeah, it was just like, that young adult experience. Right now, I know we can't really have those. Like, you gotta get 2-3 roommates, and rent is still pretty high. It's like, at this point, you can't even afford a trailer. Remember, trailers used to be cheap. You can't even do that no more. Like, they're just as high as apartments at this point. But I think, setting a goal to leave would be something that you have to do. You got to tell yourself a time, man. Like, not giving yourself a goal, sitting there at home is only going to keep you there. I feel like it's settling to some extent.
25 million young adults are still living with their parents. And it's not because they're lazy. Stay with me here. Because what's actually causing this crisis should change how you talk to every buyer under 35. A brand new Realtor.com report just dropped, right? And the number hit a record. 25.2 million adults under 35 are living at home with mom and dad. That's 1 out of every 3 young adults in this country. And here's the part that stops me cold. 70% of them, they have jobs, my friends, right? This isn't a lazy generation. This is a supply story. Realtor.com senior economist said it straight. What's holding them back isn't a lack of qualifications. It's a lack of housing they can actually afford. The national median list price right now, $430,000. Median asking rent, $1,673 a month, up 34% and 18% since 2019. And the people getting crushed the hardest, adults 30 to 34. 12.7% of that group is still living at home. That's double the rate from the year 2000.
It's tough, man. You can't really afford a house. Maybe a rent. Like, you got to understand, like, people think that renting is cheaper. Or getting a mortgage is the way to go. Sometimes that's just, man, you got to get the down deposit ready. You got to pay your insurances. You got to pay your HOAs, like all these other things. Like, sometimes just getting you one of those monthly rentals is just a little bit cheaper, but they can't even afford that. People are just okay with just being at home. But I'm going to say this because that's always another video, man. But, like, everything goes up. Food, rents, the housing, but pay rates don't ever go up. Just kind of just gonna sit there. So how can people continue to afford that? Pay never goes up to match that. This doesn't happen.
So it has been statistically proven that people from ages 18 to 35, adults, are still staying home with their parents. This is the worst economy to ever, the worst generation to become an adult in. Coming from somebody like me who is a college student and clearly still is being assisted by their parents, I can just only imagine what the job market is going to look like in the next 3 to 4 years. Because if it is a census that 18 to 35-year-olds are still living at home, how the heck are we going to start planning for retirement? Like, I find that to be super scary. Because if you think about it, this is supposed to be the time for the last part of the millennials and the Gen Zs like myself to start living. And how can we live? There was this mom here on TikTok that talked about how she took her kids out. Here's the creator. She took her kids out to go and get a summer job and no one is hiring. There was a time in the 90s when like my mom was 18 and she was able to get a job like it was nobody's business.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore because in this economy, can people even afford to breathe?
A summer job. Whew, a summer job? Y'all remember summer jobs, man? Summer jobs are door dashing and Lyft and Uber and all that stuff. And then you need a vehicle, a certain type of vehicle at that to even get by. But yeah, that was some of the video, guys. And we're going to get in, as the clips go on, they get into the statistics a little bit more. But yeah, go back and answer that question. If you made it this far, man, what is the cutoff age from being considered a young adult to a grown as adult? I need y'all to talk about it right then and there. And then if you want to say, hey, when did you move out of your parents' house? I moved out when I was 18. Hey, when did y'all move out? I'm curious. I'll chat with y'all in the comments and I'll see you on the next one. And this is the reason why, if you did make it this far, you got to like the video. You got to comment. You got to hype. All right. You got to sub. I'll see you on the next one.